right, F. It's apparently for finance, at least on Sesame Street. The educational Muppets are teaming up with PNC Bank to teach kids about finances. Here to weigh in on all this is the watchdog on Wall Street, Chris Markowski. Welcome back, Chris.
Hello. No more Tickle Me Elmo dolls?
No more Tickle Me Elmo. It's F is for finance now.
Okay.
It's an interesting project they got going on. Again, Sesame Street teaming up with PNC Bank. They're going to have videos. They're going to have printed materials, basically trying to make financial concepts comprehensible to as early as preschool age kids. Now, what do you think about this off the bat?
I think it's difficult to rope preschool kids into topics of, finance when they, see stuff and they're constantly being inundated by the same products and almost pushing on Sesame Street and whatnot.
Right.
But I think it's important to teach kids the value of money at a very young age and have them understand. The reality is you can throw all this stuff at them and all these various different teaching tools, but if you're not practicing it within the house, then it's, it's really all for naught.
And right now, 26 states do not require any kind of personal finance lessons, and I think you'd agree that's probably a bad idea. We'll talk more about it in a bit. We're back in here in just a minute. If you have any...
What did I say, Andy?
You said, hey, everybody, it's time for Birthday Bonanza.
So why can't y'all get that?
But I just wonder if Marjorie got it, our closed captioner.
Oh, that's right. God bless that woman. She just...
Because we needed it for that, Marjorie.
Marjorie, I said it's time for our Birthday Bonanza! Yay! Joining us now is a very close personal friend, Markowski. How are you, buddy?
Good morning. We should call me Mark.
You do well all the time, Chris. And so this game, I have a feeling you're going to do well again.
Okay.
All righty? All right, here's our first one, huh?
Yay! Oh,
Charles Grodin. How old is Charles Grodin today?
Charles Grodin is probably 73.
Kim?
78. 74.
Chris Markowski?
68.
You're on the money. 76 years old today. By the way, Kim, if we can pop that picture back up again.
His teeth match his sweater.
Thank you. That's what I was going to say.
His what?
Anyway, yeah. His teeth. Look at him.
Oh, my gosh.
All right, here's our next one. Iggy Pop. How old is Iggy Pop today, Andy?
Iggy.
50.
Okay.
52. 80. 80?
I'm going with 62.
64, you are right.
Wow.
Chris Markowski.
64?
And finally, Andy McDowell. I love her. I can listen to her talk all day. Andy McDowell.
I'll go with 46.
There?
44. How about 43?
I'm going with 50.
She does those makeup commercials.
Yeah. Right.
53 years old.
Oh, my goodness.
53. That is a woman.
This morning, and we brought our watchdog on Wall Street, Chris Markowski, in on this topic. Toronto police, the top dog there, says, listen, if you don't want to be sexually assaulted, don't dress like a slut.
Hey now.
Isn't that something? Putting it all on women, saying your provocative dress just encourages victims, people to be raped and sexually assaulted.
And what you're looking at here is the slut walk it inspired.
And so women have now come out in protest and said, okay, fine. Dressed in their quote-unquote slutty, attire, and have had quote-unquote slut walks.
The Canadian exchange rate, they're not that smart.
So this cop was given a speech at a Toronto law school when this came about, and he just point blank said this is the reason, women are pretty much asking for it. Of course, there were outrage, and it sparked this slut walk, they're calling it, that has really caught on. There's people doing it overseas in different countries.
And even
there's
here.
Yes, several scheduled here that are happening from now until May 7th.
Yeah.
You said that they were asking for it?
Basically asking for it due to the dress. And, some assault victims may not want to turn in an assault or report an assault or go to the police for fear that someone's going to accuse them of asking for it. No woman asked to be sexually assaulted.
And I'm sure attorneys probably on the defense side would probably use that in a court as well.
There have been several cases. Well, you had on a miniskirt, didn't you? Okay, so?
Yeah,
Exactly.
you can't go there in regards to any type of excuse whatsoever. I think that's completely. The guy probably going to lose his job, I would suppose, over something like that.
Well, I don't know if it's not necessarily whatsoever, because there is, it doesn't help the situation. listen, and I'm not trying to be sexist here. I mean, there are sick guys out there, I mean, that possibly you could be inviting, but I mean, if that's your choice, that's your choice.
I was just going to say the reason why you see these girls in little outfits, they're saying, you know, well, we're going to show you, so they pulled out the skimpiest clothes in their wardrobe, put it on, and that's what they're all parading around.
You don't go, well, you can use the same excuse if you want to do like the cartoons. Why would you do a Mohammed cartoon and you're inviting yourself to get attacked? Right. So you can bring it up in various different topics. The reality is you're doing something bad, you're doing something bad, you're never really inviting violence.
I don't care if I'm walking around the street butt naked. That doesn't mean that I'm inviting someone to rape me. That's crazy that people actually think.
I don't think it's rape, but it does conjure up thoughts that you're at.
But people might think that. But that doesn't mean you touch me.
No, not at all.
I know you don't think that. But
I'm not going to look away.
That's not fair to look at some woman and say
hopefully this cop misspoke him, because you can say two things simultaneously, and that is one, that rape is always inexcusable, and any deviant who would do it should be prosecuted to the full extent of the law under any circumstances. You can also say, for instance, to your daughter, honey, don't dress like a slut because it's dangerous to do so. Yeah. You can say those two things at the same time.
Yes.
DailyBuzzNow.com is the place to go. Leave us your thoughts on.
That is like the embodiment of all cute things.
Oh, indeed.
Dogs, bubbles, babies. All right, F is apparently for finance on Sesame Street. The educational Muppets are teaming up with PNC Bank to teach kids about finances. Meanwhile, only 24 states require any personal finance lessons for their kids. Here to weigh in on all this is the Watchdog on Wall Street, Chris Markowski. Do you think that there ought to be more states that have a requirement for personal finance education for children?
No, I think we should put more condoms on bananas, do more diversity training, rather than teach kids about money and mortgages and all things important. Seriously.
You're being facetious.
Me? No, never.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like there's a lot of things that we teach kids in public schools nowadays, and one of the things that they could use most, by evidence of our bankruptcy filings in this country, is a little bit of financial education.
Understanding compounding interest, the fact how it can help you if you're saving money and putting it away, and how it can also whack you upside the head if you got credit card debt that keeps rolling over again and again and again. These are simple things, but it's amazing. And the funny thing is the banks and the credit card companies and the financial regulatory bill did a little bit to help this. They know this. So when you go on college campuses, they were loving handing out credit cards because they know they get you in a cycle of perpetual debt.
Chris Markowski, if you have any questions for him, send it to us at Daily Buzz Now.
Let's do a little celebrity birthday bonanza.
That was for Marjorie.
That is for Marjorie, and Marjorie, God bless, she's our closed captioning.
Just a type.
And and she lives in Pennsylvania, and they route it through. But you were telling me for your show.
Hey, Marjorie!
There she is, right there. That is Marjorie. Beautiful.
By the way, hottest closed captioner in the business.
I was about to say that. I was like, she needs to be up here in a sec going. Anyway, because you have to send yours for your show
to India.
To India, and then they write it. I just find that fascinating.
You're outsourcing your closed captioning.
How'd you get so tan?
I live in Florida.
He goes to India. He's part Indian.
I just looked at it and I'm like, he's got a glow going on. Huh?
He does. Let's jump in to our celebrity birthday bonanza. Here's our first one. Quite the opposite scale of being tan. It's Robert W. Smith. How old is he, Andy? 50. Okay.
62. 58.
Oh, and Chris Markowski.
I'm going 48.
You are right, Chris. 52 years old.
4 years off.
52. Beautiful young lady. Next one is Nicole Sullivan, who I think is just funny lady. How old is Nicole?
36.
I'm going to go 30.
I'm going to go 38.
I'll go 37.
And you again are right, Chris. 41 years old. From Mad TV and King of Queens. And finally, James McAvoy. How old is James McAvoy?
34.
29.
33.
30.
I don't know how you do it, Chris.
That's
right
amazing.
On the money. 32 years old today. Congratulations. I want to say big fan of the show. Queen Elizabeth, happy birthday to you.
Oh, that's right.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday to you. 85 years old today. I say 85 years young.
The Queen of England.
You deserve the
So police top dog was saying, he says, basically, if you don't want to be sexually assaulted, ladies, then don't dress like a slut. Right. Yeah, he basically put all the blame on the women, the rape victim, if she's assaulted, saying, well, you asked for it due to the way you dressed.
Yeah, obviously there was outrage. Unfortunate situation. This guy was giving a speech at a law school, and basically that's exactly what he said, just what Kia had mentioned, that, women are essentially asking for it.
So it turned into these rallies we see now. These are called slut walks, where a lot of women said in protest, okay, fine. They got together and, launching this campaign on Facebook, and it's going global. They said, we'll wear our quote-unquote sluttiest, clothes and march down the street, in protest of this. And now there are going to be several more slut walk marches,
Yeah, this
Asheville,
has really
Dallas.
caught on.
Yeah, between now and May 7th. But
They're even doing it virally in Australia, in Europe, overseas. Everybody's kind of catching on and having these walks.
But how fair is that? It's ridiculous that some guy would say, well, you're asking for it.
I didn't hear what he said. I mean, I would hope that he didn't put all the blame on the women in regards to this. We got to understand something. You don't want to do anything stupid. You want to protect yourself at all times, but there's never any excuse for violence whatsoever. We brought this up last hour. We see this all the time. Remember, we just had that crazy, what's his name there, pastor burning the Quran, and then the people got killed. Yeah, I don't care what that guy did, how dumb it may be, it still doesn't give anybody the right to kill anybody else, and it's the same type of a circumstance.
Sure. This is what you're saying. Miranda says, I can't believe someone could be so ignorant that they would say that dressing slutty is asking for it. Anyone with a brain should know that rape is not necessarily a sexual act, but more like an act of violence. It is essentially another way of beating someone up.
That's a good point.
And we move from this to, LZ Granderson. He writes columns for CNN. He's basically saying parents don't dress your kids like tramps.
Right. Yeah. I had a problem with this story.
No, tell me, what's your problem?
My problem is this guy writes this blog, right, and he describes an incident where he's in the airport and he sees this little 8-year-old girl, and she's dressed in juicy pants, and she's got a halter top on, all tan, just came from a vacation, braids in her hair, and he's saying, shame on the parents. This isn't the 8-year-old's fault for dressing like this. It's the parents who bought these clothes. The problem that I have is the guy is trying to bring attention in a positive manner, but yet he says that this 8-year-old is the sexiest thing in the airport.
Oh, God.
That's what I have a problem with. If you're gonna try to be positive, watch what you say. Don't say something like that about an 8-year-old when you're trying to prove a point.
I don't think he was looking at the 8-year-old in a sexual manner. He's probably making the general point that she was dressed sexier than any other woman out there, and just saying, yeah, and I'm not defending him, but I'm thinking he's not looking and going, ooh, look at that cute little 8-year-old.
I don't think he is either, but it made me feel uncomfortable reading something like that. And how many little girls do you see, not that it's right, not that I'm making an excuse, but play dress up? You don't know the situation.
I think he hit it on the mark if it made you feel uncomfortable about it, because it gave out, it emoted you to feel that way, which
they were showing
I just don't think he should have.
They were showing bikinis for 8-year-old girls now that were pushed up. My father was a high school teacher, and your hormones are going nuts as a 13-year-old boy, so you don't get to see girls dressed half naked. I see how they am today. My dad would make them put on lab coats if the girls were dressed when they came to his classroom.
Hey, DailyBuzzNow.com is the place to go.
Only we could take something that cute and make it bad. All right, F is apparently for finance, at least on Sesame Street. The educational Muppets are teaming up with PNC Bank to teach preschool kids about finances. Meanwhile, only 26 states require some kind of public education for children in personal finance. Here to weigh in on all of it is the watchdog on Wall Street, Chris Markowski. Good morning, Chris.
Boy, oh boy, that Elmo's a jack of all trades.
He really is.
Financial advisor, too.
Yes, he can help you with your self-esteem and your bank account.
Get him working for me, maybe.
What are your thoughts about this? I know we've talked before about the lack of education. We teach kids about how to put condoms on bananas, as you said last hour, but we don't teach them how to balance a checkbook.
Well, I think a lot of this is, once again, is going to have to come from home. I think Elmo may, try as hard as he can. I think this is a bit of a marketing ploy for PNC, and Elmo's going to get paid for the entire deal. But unless it's being done at home, it makes no difference. You see the household finances a problem. You see parents arguing over money and things like that. You're not going to get the gist of what to do is right.
Do you think, would you be in support of a state, let's say Florida, if they don't have these requirements, having requirements along with other, say, history requirements and so forth, that personal finance is a requirement?
I think Econ 101 would be a good thing, because people don't even understand the difference between a million, a billion, and a trillion anymore. Hence your little talker from before.
There you go. All right, if you have questions for Chris, send them to us at buzz@dailybuzznow.com.